Welcome back to College Conversations. I'm Dr. Fedor, and I help you navigate college. Please remember to hit subscribe, like, and share this video with other students who may need similar help. Today, I have with me the authors of Your Freshman is Off to College, a month-by-month guide to the first year of college, Laurie Hazard and Stephanie Carter. Thank you so much for joining me. I know you guys are both busy. Let's get started with this very important book and very important topic. I've had two of my daughters in college. One is currently a senior in college, and so I really could have used this book a few years ago. I also have a junior in high school, so you can be sure I'm going to be putting this advice to work in about a year and a half. Your book talks a lot about the ability to ask for help and how important that is for college students. But can you explain to me a little bit about why it's so important for first year success, for students to be able to ask for help?
So I'm going to take this one. I think when students are experiencing challenges and barriers during their first year, and they will in a wide variety of different areas, they might have trouble in a class, or they might have roommate conflicts, or they might get a cold the first semester and not know how to navigate accessing health services. So I think that's a really key skill set, is for students to develop the ability to ask for help. And I think one psychological barrier that prevents students from asking for help is this concept in psychology called the imposter syndrome. It really is when people feel like, I don't belong here, I'm embarrassed, and if I ask for help, I'm going to be found out. So I think of an example from when I was in college. I was sitting in a class and we were reading The Old Man and the Sea, and we were having a guided discussion about the old man and the sea, and students were raising their hand and engaging in discussion with the profession about all the Christian symbolism in The Old Man and the Sea. And I remember thinking, I didn't pick up on any of that. A student raised their hand and said, oh yeah, the Christian symbolism when the man was dragging the mast of the sailboat is like Christ dragging the cross. And I thought all of that stuff went over my head. And I remember that moment thinking, everybody here is smarter than me and I don't belong. So I think that imposter syndrome really perpetuates students' inability to ask for help. I also think with our current generation of Generation Z students, when they get stuck, they typically turn to their parents because they have easy access to them with their cell phone. And really, we want to encourage college students to turn their attention to the experts in the college environment who are there, ready and willing to help them, and they want to help. The problem is that students sometimes have difficulty asking for help. And in fact, the university that I work with last fall, we noticed that. And so we created a bunch of building self-advocacy workshops for students. And I think it's really important for them to cultivate that skill during the first semester, because the pace of college is so fast. And if they wait a week or two to ask for help in any of these areas, it could really bury them, so to speak.
Right. So one of the things that you mentioned in your book was that it's important to for students to meet with a learning specialist, and that's part of the finding help and so forth. So you mentioned meeting with a learning specialist. Can you tell me what exactly is a learning specialist and what do they do?
So yes, one of the reasons we mention a learning specialist pretty regularly in the book is because we know that academic transition from high school to college can be really challenging for students. And most institutions have learning specialists or academic coaches or other people who may have a similar title, who are professionals that are there to help students with the academic transition. So a lot of students are familiar with the idea of working with a tutor. So if they're needing a little extra help with math, they meet with a tutor who can help them with the content. But a learning specialist can help them sort of take a big picture look at how they're approaching their academics and can work with them on skills and strategies that kind of go across all of their classes. It's not really content specific, but focused on areas like how to study for an exam, because exams in college can be much more intimidating and cover far more content than the tests that students would take at the end of every chapter in high school. Learning specialists or academic coaches can also work on helping students really manage the time management challenges. So getting organized with time and creating a schedule when classes in high school, again, classes are 7:30 or 8 till 2 or 3. And so now there's this illusion of all this extra time, but not really a good system in place for how to manage that time and get all their work done and meet all the expectations.
And time management is so important in college. You also advocate the students taking risks in college. I was a little bit confused because I thought we should try to minimize their risky behavior. Can you explain a little bit what you meant when you said, when you're encouraging first-year students to take risks?
So I'm not talking about bungee jumping or jumping out of an airplane, taking those kinds of risks. What we're talking about, and to use the cliche, is getting them out of their comfort zones, pushing them out of their comfort zones. So if a student, for example, typically wouldn't be the first one to go sign up for a club or organization, we're encouraging them to say, gee, if you didn't try photography in high school, maybe this is something you want to explore in terms of really reflecting on your skills and talents. So taking risks from that point of view. If you're somebody who perhaps didn't do a lot of traveling when you were in K through 12 and didn't have those experiences, colleges provide an experience for all different kinds of study abroad models. So maybe to think about the opportunity of studying abroad. Maybe taking a risk and reaching out and talking to your professor during office hours feels a little intimidating. So taking the kinds of risks to push themselves to do things that they wouldn't normally feel comfortable doing. And that kind of harkens back to asking for help, right? We want them to be able to kind of say, I'm having these challenges, but there are spaces and places across a college campus that can really encourage me to learn and grow.
Thank you for clearing that up. We all want the students to take more responsibility. How can parents help their students take more responsibility while still being involved parents?
I think that's the balance that so many parents are struggling with, right? And often Laurie and I talk with parents who say, I don't want to be a helicopter parent. They're feeling nervous about that. One of the ways that I think parents can be supportive without sort of taking over and doing too much for their student is to work to become familiar with what's going on at their student's college or university and get a basic understanding, if possible, about what some of the resources are. And that way, if like I have two daughters who one graduated college and one's in college now, and if she calls me to say, I'm really nervous, I think I'm one class behind, I don't need to be the one to call her advisor to have that conversation, but I can help her make a game plan for reaching out to the advisor and figure out how to navigate some of that. So it's in some ways taking a step back and supporting the student, but really getting them to reach out to the resources available on campus instead of trying to solve the problem for them.
Okay. So this is an excellent resource. Just to review that, if you have a child that is going to college anytime in their near future, this is a useful resource. Your freshman is off to college. Laurie Hazard, Stephanie Carter, thank you so much. Please remember to hit share and subscribe to my channel. And for more detailed help navigating college, you could check out my course on Udemy, College 101, How College Works. Thank you to everyone, and remember to keep learning.